People who hate surprises, what ruined them for you? My boyfriend Cameron had been acting weird for weeks, constantly asking about my schedule and whispering with my roommate. I figured he was planning something for our 2-year anniversary, but I honestly just wanted a quiet dinner together. I'd been working crazy hours at my internship and was completely drained. The day of our anniversary, Cameron insisted we go to this fancy Italian restaurant downtown that we'd never been to before. When we walked in, I was confused because the place was packed with people I knew. My entire family, friends from college, co-workers from my internship, even my high school math teacher were all there cheering. Cameron had apparently reached out to everyone and invited them to witness this special moment. He'd rented out the entire back room and hired professional photographers without even telling me to make sure my hair looked good. The worst part was seeing my divorced parents sitting at the same table, clearly uncomfortable, while Cameron's mom was loudly telling everyone how she'd helped pick out the ring. My boss from the internship was there with her husband, looking confused about why she'd been invited to what was supposed to be a romantic evening. Even my elderly neighbor was there, holding a champagne glass and squinting at everyone. That's when I realized the entire restaurant staff was in on it too. The waiters were all hovering around us with cameras, and the manager had apparently coordinated this whole thing with Cameron. There was even a violin player who started playing Canon in D as Cameron got down on one knee right there in front of everyone. He pulled out this enormous ring and started this elaborate speech he'd clearly memorized. "Tabitha, you're the love of my life," he announced to the entire room, speaking loud enough for the people in the front of the restaurant to hear. "We've had the most incredible 2 years together, and I can't imagine spending my life with anyone else. Will you marry me?" The whole restaurant erupted in cheers before I could even process what was happening. People were taking photos from every angle, my mom was sobbing, and someone started recording with their phone. A banner dropped down that said, "She said yes," when I literally hadn't said a word yet. Cameron was beaming, clearly expecting me to throw my arms around him and squeal. The photographers were snapping away, and I could see strangers at other tables turning to watch our table. But here's the thing, we'd literally never talked about marriage, ever. In fact, just last month I'd mentioned wanting to focus on my career for the next few years and maybe travel before settling down, and he'd seemed totally supportive. I was 22, barely graduated, still living with roommates and eating ramen for dinner half the week. The silence stretched on as everyone waited for my answer. The violin player kept playing, which made everything even more excruciating. Cameron's face started to change from confident to confused to panicked. "Tabitha," he whispered, still on one knee. "Cameron, we need to talk about this privately," I finally managed to say, my voice barely audible over the murmur of confused guests. His face went bright red. "What do you mean privately? It's a yes or no question. Everyone's waiting. Can we please step outside for a minute?" I begged, gesturing toward the crowd of people with their phones out. But he was already standing up, looking humiliated in front of all these people he'd somehow tracked down and invited to witness our magical moment. "You're seriously going to embarrass me like this? After everything I planned? I spent 3 months organizing this. You didn't think to ask if I was ready for this?" I shot back, finally losing it. "We've never even discussed marriage, Cameron. You planned this whole thing without knowing how I felt. You tried to force me to say yes by making it too awkward to say no. It's not going to work." The room was dead silent except for the awkward violin music that was still somehow playing. My mom looked mortified. My dad was staring at his phone. My coworkers were pretending to study the menu. Cameron just stood there holding the ring box, looking like he wanted to crawl under the table. I grabbed my purse and walked out, pushing past the confused waiters and the random diners who were filming this disaster on their phones. Cameron returned the ring the next week, and we broke up over text.